is really common for fiction. But if you're writing nonfiction, 6 by 9 is more popular.
Wait, really? So like a novel should be a different size than a self-help book.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about reader expectations, what feels right for each genre. And then there's the margins too. Most authors don't realize that those actually have a functional purpose, especially the inside margin.
Oh, really? I always thought they were just, you know, to make the page look less crowded.
Well, that is part of it, but inside margin is super important for like thicker books. It has to be bigger so that when the text doesn't disappear into the spine.
Oh, wow. I never even thought about that.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. Imagine trying to read a book
Hmm.
and like half the words are hidden. Not a good reading experience.
That's a good point. Okay, so then the guide splits into two different paths, formatting for ebooks and formatting for print. It seems like those would be pretty different.
Oh yeah, they definitely are. With ebooks, it's all about creating a reflowable format, which basically means that the content has to adapt to different devices and screen sizes. Someone might be reading your book on a phone, or a tablet, or a huge computer monitor, and it needs to look good on all of them.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what are some of the tools that people use for ebook formatting? Does the guide mention anything specific?
It recommends Microsoft Word, Scrivener,
Hmm.
and Readsy Editor. Those are all good options because they let things like heading styles, paragraph indents, and text alignment, which are all really important for ebooks.
So it's all about having that control over how the text flows. But what's interesting, in ebooks, you don't have to worry about page numbers.
Right. Those don't matter anymore.
Thank goodness. One less thing to think about.
Yeah.
But what about those little details? Like, are there specific settings for alignment that I should be using?
Yeah. The guide suggests using like a 0.3-inch indent for the first paragraph and sticking with alignment for the main text. Unless it's something like a chapter title, then usually center alignment looks best, but the most important thing is to be consistent.
Oh, that makes sense. Consistent throughout the entire book.
Exactly.
Got it. So that seems pretty straightforward for ebooks. But I have a feeling print formatting is a whole other beast, right?
Yeah, it can be a bit more complex. Yeah. The guide mentions Adobe InDesign and Atticus, powerful tools for that. But don't worry if those sound intimidating. You can even use Microsoft Word, as long as you know what you're doing.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, though there's a term that pops up in the guide that I'm not familiar with. Front matter. What is that exactly?
Basically, it's everything that comes before the main content of your book, like the page,
Right.
the copyright page, dedicated table of contents, all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
One kind of cool tip the guide mentions is that those pages aren't numbered.
Oh, you're right. I never noticed that before.
Yeah, it's one of those subtle things that makes a book look really professional.
Got it. So those pages are kind of like the silent but important opening act. Okay, so what about all the other stuff on the pages? Like the headers and the page numbers. Sometimes there are like those weird single lines of text at the top or bottom. What are those all about?
Oh, yeah. Headers are super your book title or author name to each page. Again, it just adds to that professional feel. And then page numbers are obviously crucial for navigating a physical book. Those single lines you're talking about are called widows and orphans. Basically, they happen when a paragraph break leaves a single line stranded at the top or bottom of a page. It's considered bad typography.
I see.
But luckily, they're pretty easy to fix.
So it's really all little details adding up to make a big difference. Now, there's another term the guide mentions that I have no idea what it means. Bleed. What in the world is bleed?
Oh, basically just an extra margin that you add to pages that have images or graphics that go right to the edge of the page, so that when the book is printed and trimmed, there aren't any like unsightly white slivers around the image.
Oh, that makes sense. So it's kind of like when you have a picture frame that fits perfectly